Good morning, and welcome to the 24th Annual Veterans Day event celebrating service to our nation and hosted by the Washington State Department of Labor and Industries. My name is Kevin DeLeon, and I serve as the chair of the planning committee for today's event. Service to our nation, this year's Veterans Day theme, reminds us of the legacy of commitment, dedication, and selfless service that is reflected in the core values of our armed services. It's also demonstrated in the words and deeds of our veterans and families, and it and carries through to our own core values here at L&I. Respect, duty, integrity, and selflessness are values common to veterans and to L&I, and they fit well within the agency's mission to keep Washington safe and working. To me, service to our nation is a powerful reminder that ultimately our lives aren't about us as individuals, but us as members of community. So as members of families and communities and citizens, we're connected. And how we contribute to, build, and advance all of those become our legacy and our measures of our success ultimately. Today we also celebrate the 250th anniversaries of the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps. Their service and dedication to the nation is unquestioned and extensively demonstrated in countless historical milestones throughout our nation's history. I encourage you to take a moment today to talk to a veteran about this history, to visit the many websites that cover the topic, or to visit a local library to review some of these milestones in remembrance. With that said, let's begin today's event by introducing our Master of Ceremonies, Courtney Stanley. Courtney's worked at L&I for 9 years. She's a management analyst with the agency's vocational services quality assurance team. She's also a graduate, like myself, of the Evergreen State College with bachelor's degrees in social science and community service and a master's in public administration. Fields of study that resonate closely with our theme today. Let's see. I'm also supposed to plug Courtney's service with the board of the Tenino Youth at Heart Theater, a group that has presented local theater in the area since 1990. Probably a good experience for a role here today. So with that, welcome Courtney Stanley. Courtney.
Good morning and welcome everyone to the 2025 L&I Veterans Day celebration. And we'd like to offer a special welcome to David Puente, Director of Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Kevin, for that wonderful introduction. In preparation for this event, I reflected on what public service means to me and how I was influenced by my family. My great-grandfather, Weston Davis, showed me the importance of public service when he opened up about his World War II Army service experience. When he was 86, I was privileged to interview him for a school report, and he shared with me of his experience at that time, how he fought at the Battle of the Bulge, met President Franklin D. Roosevelt, but how in his private life, he was actually a very quiet man. He worked as a clockmaker and a woodcarver. My grandpa was a gentle soul whose nature was anti-war and anti-conflict. And yet, when the time came, he answered the call to serve. He said it was the hardest thing he ever had to do, but it was for the sake of protecting his family, his country, and for protecting peace. My dad also served in the Army in the late 1970s and early 1980s as a helicopter pilot, serving abroad and conducting rescues. After leaving the military, he continued his service as a pipe fitter at Madigan Army Hospital, working in the hospital's underbelly. He said it was really important to keep the operations running for the safety and health of the medical staff and its patients. And I think of my mom, who dedicated 41 years of public service to working for the state of Washington. She supported LNI for many years, prioritizing our mission of keeping Washington safe and working. Their examples taught me the importance of public service, and it provides me a great personal meaning while working here at LNI. So it is with great respect that I serve as your facilitator today. And with that, let's charge ahead with today's event. We have an excellent program, including remarks from Command Sergeant Major David Morley with the Washington Army National Guard. And to start, we will rise for the posting of the colors by the Ira L. Cater Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 318 Color Guard under the command of Brandon Pruitt, and remain standing for the national anthem.
Group attention. Port arms. Forward march. Mark time. March. Group. Halt. Right face. Colors. Post. Recover. Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Port arms. Left face. Forward march.
Please be seated. Thank you to the members of the Ira L. Cater Veteran of Foreign Wars Post 318 for posting the colors. And thank you to our national anthem trio, Stephanie Smith, Tanya Hornback, and Melissa Dyer, for their beautiful rendition of our national anthem. Let's give them a hand. And now we come to our land acknowledgement. LNI's Tumwater campus resides on ancestral lands of the Nisqually, Squaxin, Coast Salish, and Cowlitz tribes, going back thousands of years. We stand on the lands of the Medicine Creek Treaty tribes, signed in 1854. Because of this history, we offer a land acknowledgement. To help us with that, we have today Steve J. Gill, MPA. Steve is the tribal liaison for the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs. He joined the agency in 2001. Steve is a U.S. Army veteran with experience in the private sector as a human resources consultant and human services program manager. He is a recipient of the Washington Governor's Award for Leadership in Management and the Governor's Award for Customer Service. And it should be noted, he's a fellow GUI Duck with a BA and Master's in Public Administration from the Evergreen State College. Please welcome Steve J. Gill.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today and to serve as the tribal liaison for your Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs. I came to the role as the tribal liaison indirectly after first learning about the principles of sovereignty and self-determination As a graduate student at the Evergreen State College, where I completed my MPA degree, and where I later taught as an adjunct faculty member, teaching veterans policy and public policy to those who were interested in public service and serving veterans. Later, as I progressed in my career with the Washington Department of Veterans Affairs, I worked to understand the challenges faced by many veterans and their families across our nation. And I met a small group of Vietnam veterans who were tribal elders, who were serving as tribal veterans representatives for their respective Indian tribes. This group of tribal elders and fellow veterans talked to me about their own experience in the military and at war. They talked to me about their tribal histories and sovereignty, about their treaty rights. Needless to say, I did not know anything about salmon fishing. And they introduced me to their families, inviting me to their homes, inviting me to tribal Indian Native powwow events, to sweat lodges and other cultural events to honor the sacrifice, the history, and the tradition of Native warriors over countless generations. Most importantly, this group of veterans and tribal elders challenged me to work within state government to improve policies and outcomes for Native veterans and their families, for all veterans and their families, and wherever possible, to build bridges that span the gaps of geography and culture that often exist between Native and non-Native communities. These elders inspired me to a lifetime of service for all of those who have served our nation, that they should be recognized and honored for their service and sacrifice, and that we should walk with our fellow veterans along our journeys as warriors to support each other on those journeys. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. It's my pleasure now to invite LNI Director Joel Sachs to welcome everyone to our Veterans Day celebration and lead us through the next part of our program. Joel.
Thank you, Courtney. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming today, and I want to welcome everyone across the state who is participating in this ceremony remotely. This is an important day for us here at the department. This is our opportunity to pause, to reflect, and to thank those members of our LNI community who chose to serve. We want to thank you for the decision that you made to serve this country. And we want to thank you for your ongoing commitment to public service, your choice to come here and be part of our LNI community and continue to give back. This is also, from my lens, an important time to also thank all of those members of our LNI community who have loved ones and family members who choose to serve, recognizing that when we talk about service, it's service of an entire family, not necessarily just the service member. And we want to try to cultivate that sense of community here where we respect and honor your family members' commitments, your family members' sacrifices, and value what they bring, what you bring to the table. So this for all of us at LNI is that opportunity to pause, to say thank you, and to recognize the wonderful things that you all bring to the table and what you do and what you've done to help make this organization such a wonderful organization. As I think about that impact that family members can have, I want to take this opportunity to welcome our Deputy Director, Elizabeth Smith, to share a few words from her personal perspective in thinking about what this day means to her and her family. Liz.
Thank you, Joel. And welcome everyone to our event today. The theme of service to our nation takes on special meaning as we all prepare for the semi-quincentennial of our country and the anniversary of the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps, and it's the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War. We're all learning about what the word semi-quincentennial means and how to say it. My dad, David Smith, served in the Marines in Cambodia in the late 1950s. For me and for our family, his commitment holds very special meaning. We were the family of a Marine. So if I can take a moment for my formal remarks, I would like to ask that if you know a Vietnam veteran, please give them special thanks. For our LNI staff, we have a commemorative pin for Vietnam-era veterans and their families. We continue to do this, we continue a national effort to make sure that we acknowledge our Vietnam-era veterans for their very special service. We'll provide you more information on how to get one later in the program. But think to yourself, if you know a Vietnam-era veteran, this is your chance to say thank you. Service to our nation means contributing to our society by putting the needs of others above one's personal needs. So many amongst us desire a sense of purpose that can only be drawn through serving others. Serving one's state, nation, community provides a clear and real sense of purpose. That is the bond that brings us all together, that sense of service. Whether serving through military or through state service, we're bonded through this shared sense of purpose that lives in our hearts and drives us for what we do. For us, whether you are in the state or whether you serve the military, or whether it's both, the purpose of public service is a bond that is so worthy of celebration. LNI joins that celebration today and every year with our Veterans Day Memorial Celebration. At LNI, we have a clear, tangible, and valuable mission. We see it in the workplaces and in the eyes of workers every day across the state. Having that sense of mission inspires purpose. Veterans love their mission and their purpose in the military. Like my dad, it gives them identity. It gives their family identity. The purpose and mission that we have in our organization is something that I believe they see as well. And it's the core foundation of so much of the bond that we share. That sense of mission, that sense of purpose draws veterans to LNI. It draws LNI to veterans. It's well known that having a sense of purpose for any individual leads to a happier, better fulfilled life. When one has purpose and works well to fulfill it, that is a life well lived. Of course, military service, putting one's life on the line to protect one's country, is one of the highest expressions of that beautiful service. There are other ways veterans express that commitment, many other ways. According to the Partnership for Public Service, for example, about 30% of the federal workforce is made up of veterans. Nearly 18,500 veterans are federal employees in our state. That dedication and commitment is evident in state employment as well. In Washington state, veterans make up about 5.4% of the state agency workforce. That is a number that we always want to see higher. In pure numbers, more than 4,000 veterans work for state government in Washington state, including many in our own agency that we will see and celebrate shortly. In fact, in the LNI community, there are more than 150 veterans from all military branches in this country, as well as from overseas. Each employee has dedicated themselves to our mission to keep Washington safe and working. Their service to our state and to our communities makes a positive difference daily for the hundreds and thousands of businesses and the millions of workers in our state. We honor your commitment to continued public service. Please join me in applause as we thank each veteran at LNI who continue to serve. It is my distinct pleasure now to introduce today's keynote speaker, Command Sergeant Major David Morley. David has nearly 30 years of dedicated service in the Washington Army National Guard. He has deployed overseas to the Middle East, as well as responded to New Orleans days after Hurricane Katrina. At 6'9" tall, it is no surprise that young David played basketball, starting at Yelm High School, not far from here. Today, he owns Spanaway Fitness and Tacoma Barbell Club. He has used his passion for promoting health and fitness to provide further service to his community and the lives of people living in it. For 4 years, he served with the Warrior Transition Project, helping wounded soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. Perhaps he'll tell us more about that work as part of his talk titled Celebrate the Win. One more item. Our keynoter today is something of a celebrity. You, when you see him, may think, I've seen his face before. It was a short 10 years ago, David's face was featured on billboards throughout the Seattle area for Western Governors University. We have many graduates of WGU here at our agency, I know. It's there David earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in business, which helped shape his approach to business management and his service leadership. He may be available after today's celebration for autographs. Please help me welcome Command Sergeant Major David Morley. David?
Okay, thank you, Deputy Director Smith. Thank you for all attending today. Thank you to the VFW for bringing the flag out and doing it well. That was fantastic. And the ladies singing today. I love a good national anthem, and I felt like I got 3 in 1. So that was amazing. We may talk. I may have a gig for you in December. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Thank you for all the veterans that are in the room. Anytime somebody comes up and tells me thank you for your service and I can see that they're a veteran, I always say, no, thank you for your service and allowing me to do what I do today because of what you did yesterday. Before I begin my formal remarks, I just want you to be aware there's a lot of talk about the National Guard on their citywide tours around the country in different places. Please, as he zooms in on this, remember this face. If you see me in your neighborhood, I am not a threat, I promise. I was the friendly guy that came to talk to you today. Okay, so I've titled this talk, Celebrate the Win. And this is based on the doors that the National Guard has opened for me through the years and how it's given me the opportunity to help others reach their wins. As the Deputy Director said, I've almost got 30 years in service. This is one of the things that I've been doing longer than I haven't. So there was a point in my life where I was like, man, I've been in the Washington Army National Guard longer than I have not been in the Guard. The only thing I've been doing longer is breathing. That's funny, you can laugh, it's okay. I know I'm a big 6'9", intimidating, serious guy, but some of this stuff is gonna be, it's okay to laugh, okay? So why did I join the National Guard? At 17 years old, I had a bright basketball future ahead of me at Yelm High School, where we were, I think, 3-18 my senior year. Well, I got a letter in the mail. It was bright orange, and it said, "How would you like to make $125 for the weekend?" Well, in 1997, $125 was a lot of money. So I called the number, and I said, "Well, what do I got to do for this $125 for the weekend?" And they said, "Well, you just got to join the Washington Army National Guard." And I said, "Well, what's that?" And it was explained to me. Basically, you are part of the military, and you will protect the state, floods, forest fires, things of that nature. And if something bad happens and we go to war, you could be brought up for federal service. So, okay, dual hat. Okay, sounds good. So it's just 1 weekend a month, 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer. Okay, well, almost 28 years later, I can tell you it's a little more than that. And I can also tell you that I never would have believed that I would be standing here today on this stage giving this presentation, and the person that sent that letter is actually in the room. Susie Edwards over here. She's trying to hide now. Susie Edwards was my recruiter. So in the walkthrough yesterday, I didn't do any of this part, so I didn't want to give it away. But she was my recruiter. She was the one that got all this started. She was the one that convinced my mom that it would be okay as a single mother to let her only son join the military, and it would be okay. So thank you, Susie. I appreciate that. So I didn't know that joining the National Guard was going to be my first win, but it definitely was. And then the basketball thing, years later, after joining the Guard on one of the deployments to kill time, we had a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. I hurt my ankle. It was pretty bad, and that was probably the end of my basketball career. And I just said, hey, not every 6'9" white guy makes it to the NBA. It'll be okay. All right, so another win. I got to focus on some other stuff. So joining the National Guard has allowed me to do something that not everybody gets to do. I get to fire off my 1 weekend a month. I get to fire off this 98-pound, 155-millimeter projectile. Okay, this isn't something that I can do at my house in the backyard at the Freedom Farm where I live. I wish it was, but I would get a lot of calls. Joining the field artillery was definitely one of the best things that I could do. But as far as like translation to skills outside of the military, there's not a whole lot of things that a field artilleryman can do. There was one thing: avalanche control. Over on I-90, there were some military pieces that we used for avalanche control. I learned today, this morning, in preparing for this presentation, that we have gone away from our artillery pieces. We are no longer using field artillery for avalanche control in Eastern Washington. There is now a box full of pyrotechnic. And I guess it launches, I don't know, I was sad. So this is not a win, but I do have the skills should the box fail and we bring back the artillery for avalanche control in Washington State. All right, that's a plug. Maybe y'all can make that happen. So, point being, military service is a bridge to civilian work. I think about intelligence analysts. We have 35 series folks in our ranks in the Washington Army National Guard. I think about them being intelligence analysts in Washington, D.C., doing counterterrorism. We have infantry soldiers. Soldiers want to join the infantry, and they want to use that so they can get the skills to join law enforcement in Washington State. We have people that join for computer skills. So, joining the military and crossing that bridge is one way to celebrate a win for many of our soldiers, because the specialty skills they receive are skills that they can't get in the civilian world. And we all know we want experience, but we can't hire unexperienced people, right? So how do you get that experience? Well, you can join the Washington Army National Guard. And if you're interested, I'll be over here and we can talk about that after this, okay? We do need you. But the National Guard has it's provided me a lot of opportunities to help our soldiers. So, as mentioned, from 2010 to 2012, and again from 2014 to 2016, I was assigned to the Warrior Transition Battalion down at Madigan Army Medical Center, just down the road. I was assigned there as cadre, and this is where we would send our sick, ill, and wounded. These could be soldiers that were just in our formation, training for their jobs. This could be soldiers that were coming back from Iraq or Afghanistan. For those that transferred into the battalion, there were usually two paths. You could heal and transition back to your unit and return to duty, or you would get your medical retirement and you would transition to the next chapter in your life. It's quite possible some of you are here today that have gone through this program. Being able to help these soldiers was truly humbling. It gave me an appreciation for the sacrifices that our service members make. A lot of our soldiers did not want to leave the service. They wanted to continue, even though they couldn't. I want to take a moment to talk about a soldier that made an impact on me. He's probably watching now, and I really hope that he is, because I sent him the link earlier. I actually called him this morning and asked him for some details and told him what I was going to be talking about today to make sure it was okay. Because I figured the smaller amount of time between asking him if I could talk about him was better than letting him think about it and change his mind. He has since moved to Florida, and he sent me a picture of the gun range that he was at. I didn't know he was actually at the gun range until I called him and I heard a bunch of gunshots going off in the background. And we'll get to why, but he still has to keep up on his skills even in his retired life. So, retired Sergeant Chris McKenzie, we'll just call him Mac. He grew up in Gig Harbor, Washington. He decided at 18 years old he wanted to join the Army. He wanted to be an infantryman. He wanted to shoot rifles, walk around the woods with a backpack. He went to basic training, and then he received his assignment to his first duty station, Fort Wainwright, Alaska. He was part of the 1st Stryker Brigade Combat Team, 25th ID Light Fighters. Great place to send our infantry, the snowy Alaska. This was during the global war on terrorism. So what do you think happened? Well, he was deployed. He was deployed to Iraq. So after all that training he did in the snow, he was sent to Iraq, where it's an extreme difference in weather. Okay? He successfully did his deployment. He returned back to Fort Wainwright, Alaska, and they gave him orders to Fort Polk, Louisiana. So now this young man has gone from cold to hot, back to cold, and now he's going to just miserable. If you've ever been to Fort Polk, Louisiana, Fort Polk, miserable. So on his way there, again, I mentioned he's from Gig Harbor, Washington, so he stopped in to take some time with his parents and see his family, friends and loved ones. While he was there, he felt a little funny. Not a big deal. Madigan's right down the road. I'll just pop in there. The doctors diagnosed him with MS, multiple sclerosis, I believe, yeah. He was given they suspected that he had MS, so they made the decision to keep him at Madigan Army Medical Center and not let him go to Fort Polk, Louisiana, which I'm sure he was truly disappointed about. So he was able to stay home, and he was put under my care. I was his squad leader, and he was my soldier. I had a lot of talks with Mac, and I really enjoyed them for what it was, because he was meant to be an infantryman, and he certainly always will be. But his time was, his time was cut short by MS. One of the characteristics that he had was a tremor in his right arm. So there are a lot of things that we do with our right hand. We shake hands when we meet people. He was right-handed, so he would sign. If I ever needed him to sign a document, he would basically have to trap his arm, and it was a thing. And then we come to saluting. When we salute with our right hand. In the Warrior Transition Battalion, we had a lot of folks that had a lot of different ailments, and we had a lot of profiles that we basically the doctors would write out, and they would say, these are the things you can't do. So Mac had a no salute profile. Probably one of the strangest things I've ever heard of or seen, and not a lot of people have ever heard of it. And one day, Mac came across a rogue captain who stopped him after he walked by without giving him a salute or the greeting of the day. And he said, "Hey, specialist, where are you going?" So "I'm going to my appointment, sir." And he's like, "Well, you didn't salute me." He said, "I have a no salute profile, sir." He said, well, I've never heard of that. You need to do the right thing and you need to salute me. He said, well, I promise you I have a profile, sir. He's like, I don't care. You need to, the customs and courtesies are there for a reason. So Mac said, roger that, sir. And he said, good afternoon, sir. Mac came back to my office and told me the story, and he was worried that he was going to be in trouble. And it was everything I could do to contain my laughter. I said, don't worry about it, man. If I ever find that guy, I'll let him know. In the end, Mac received his medical retirement. He got his VA benefits. He was retired as a sergeant, and he transitioned on to the next chapter in his life out in Gig Harbor. All he really wanted to do was his 20 years as an infantryman, walking through the woods with a backpack and a rifle. That was cut short, but per the phone call this morning, he's still carrying around the rifle, and he looked like he was out on the woods. So fast forward a number of years. Now remember, as the director told you, I'm a gym owner. I own Spanaway Fitness. It's an amazing place, and one of the things that is really separates us is we have this room dedicated to powerlifting. So powerlifting is it's 3 events: squat, bench, and a deadlift. Things most people can do, right? So I, being a supporter of my community, became a meet director for these powerlifting events, and I was putting one on at the gym, and I get a phone call. It's a guy that I'd worked some events with, and he said, hey, Dave, I got a guy that wants to compete at your event. And I said, okay, we'll have him sign up. He said, well, he's got a thing. And I was like, well, what's the thing? He's like, he's got the shakes. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean exactly? He's like, well, he wants to do bench press. He can't do any of the other stuff. And he's pretty good at it. But when he locks out, he's a little shaky. And I'm like, I was like, I tell you what, why don't you bring him by? Bring him by the gym, and we'll do a workout sesh, and we'll see what it looks like. Because as a meet director and as an official, I know the rules, so I can take a look at it and see what it is. You can probably already guess the guy that showed up was Mac, right? So Mac shows up. I haven't seen this guy in a couple of years, and I'm like, you're doing a powerlifting event? And he's like, I sure am. I'm like, all right, man. And okay, so yeah, we had a good workout sesh. I watched his lockout. It was good. He was a little shaky getting it up there, but once it was locked out, it was fine. He did compete in that event. He did win his class. He got his bench press in. He got all the white lights, which is the go standard there. And it was a great day, and it was good to see the guy. So watching him get that win and just kind of being reminded of the time at the Warrior Transition Battalion and seeing him, catching up. He's married. He had a great job. He was a part of the community. It was pretty cool. And to see that he was still staying active, it was definitely a big win. So hopefully Mac's out there. If we give him a big round of applause real quick. Okay, so with 28 years of service, I'll soon be closing this chapter of my life and figuring out what else I can do. The hardest part will be, of course, leaving the people that I've worked with for many years. But even harder than that is probably figuring out what to do with that 1 weekend a month and the 2 weeks in the summer. Over the years, we've missed a lot of weddings, and birthdays, and anniversaries. And it's a huge sacrifice, again, that we don't pay attention to enough. Service over self is a huge thing, especially when it comes to the handful of Seahawks games that I've had to miss due to that 1 weekend a month. So this brings me back to what I opened the talk with. The doors the National Guard has opened for me through the years and how it's given me the opportunity to help others reach their goals as well and to get to that win. After finishing my time at the Warrior Transition Battalion in 2016, I wondered, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do? I've helped all these people get out the door, get on to their next career path. What am I going to do? Well, I walked into the gym one day and the gym owner said, hey, Dave, do you want to buy the gym? And I said, well, absolutely not, but what do you want for it? He wrote a number down on a sticky note, and I said, yeah, I'll buy the gym. It's got to make money. So I did, and I became a small business owner for the first time. And with being a small business owner, there's a lot of fun things that come with that. Trying to make payroll, That means you got to make more money than you spend, hiring employees, keeping the employees, and then being compliant with L&I. In 2019, I took over another gym, Tacoma Barbell Club. This was a pre-existing gym. It had been there, and the owner had run his course, and I swooped in. This is win number 2, and this was pretty quick because this was like 3 years apart. I wasn't ready for one gym, let alone 2, but somehow I was able to keep L&I off my back, and we got 2 successful businesses going here. Okay. So at Spanaway Fitness, we talked about powerlifting being very, very popular. Another thing that's popular there is gravity. So everybody loves doing deadlifts because deadlifts pretty much everyone can do. You just pick up the weight, right? And you know, as we say, use your back, not your knees, or something like that. So the layout of the gym is about 15,000 square feet, and the powerlifters, they make a lot of noise with the clanging and banging. And so we kind of have them isolated. So they're behind this giant wall on the other side from the front desk where people walk in. Well, when I'm walking around there, people all of a sudden, they want to give it everything they got. So I have been witness to many a personal record, many a PR, or many a win by the members of the gym. And they are all too excited to come up and high-five me and let me know what happened. When I'm visually standing there and when I'm standing there and visually watching that, it's a lot easier than when I'm on the other side of the gym and I hear 500 pounds hit gravity, which means it hits the floor and it makes a bunch of noise. But then there's the hooting and the hollering and the yelling and the screaming, and you can just hear it and you know that somebody just hit another PR, somebody hit another win. Seeing all these milestones, lifting a certain weight or reaching a personal record, that brings me, again, to celebrating the win and just enjoying helping out people and all that they bring. As I think back to the 17-year-old who was getting ready to leave for basic training, Susie wouldn't drive me up to MEP, so I had to ride a bus. My mom dropped me off at the bus station out here in Olympia, and I was headed to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And she started crying, like any mother should, right? And I was just like, Mom, why are you crying? And she's like, I'm just worried, something's going to happen. I was like, I'm not going to happen. I'm going to go be the best that I can be. And I don't know where that came from, but somehow I was able to reassure her that her young boy at 6'7", 6'8", whatever I was at the time, was going to be okay. And to me, that was the beginning of the wins. The Guard has opened so many doors. I've made so many friends. And for me, continuing to serve for the next couple of years or more, that is just one more win. They say when you look at the uniform and you don't want to put it on anymore, that's when it's time to step away and let it go. I can tell you I wouldn't have put it on today if I didn't want to be here. So I'm still here. I'm still happy to do this. And it was wonderful wearing this uniform today, celebrating the win, getting this win, because now I think we're through the speech, so that's a win. And it was amazing to be here in front of you all today. So I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much again to Command Sergeant Major Morley. And before you leave, we have a gift for your participation today. It's an L&I Challenge coin that Kevin has brought on behalf of the Planning Committee. Since World War I, coins have been upheld as treasured symbols of an unbreakable bond, and to this day build esprit de corps, preserve team unity, and encourage stronger ties. Thank you again to Command Sergeant Major Morley. You know we all need to celebrate a win, our accomplishments with our coworkers, family, and friends. Please give another round of applause to Command Sergeant Major Morley. Thank you. Now I would like to bring up our lovely singers. Our national anthem singers, Melissa, Tanya, and Stephanie, will now sing To Those Who Serve by Jill Galena.
Thank you, Courtney. This selection was commissioned by the community of Waunee, Indiana, and dedicated to the Steve and Rhonda Hansberger family in honor of their son, Staff Sergeant Travis K. Hansberger, who was killed in Afghanistan on June 27, 2008. Travis served his country and his God faithfully and with pride, and his family taught a community how to grieve and how to honor their loved one and their God through dignity and grace.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. To thee we sing, to thee we sing. To those who serve the free, those who stand proud and tall and serve us all unselfishly. With heart and soul, they've answered freedom's call. To those who serve us all. From this great land, our heroes hail, putting their hopes and dreams on hold so freedom can prevail. They come from north, from south, from east and west. They are the bravest and the best. How can we ever thank them? Their words would never do. All those who serve and help preserve our grand red, white, and blue. To those who serve, my country, 'tis of thee, Lord, fear us not, of liberty, upholding all that we hold near and dear. They've lived and daily sing, they've taught us all what truth and strength should be. To those who serve courageously. How can we ever thank them? Their words would never do. Our heroes brave who serve to save our grand red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. To those who serve, country, 'tis of thee, serve the free. Those who stand proud and tall and serve us all unselfishly, we sing with heart and soul. They've answered freedom's call. To those who serve, to those who serve, to those who serve us all. It is of thee, those who serve of liberty, those who serve, we sing, to thee we sing.
That was beautiful. Please join me in thanking the trio of singers once more. We are now proud to present a pictorial review of our LNI veterans. Today's ceremony honors 149 LNI veterans, followed by the presentation of service flags, which will actually be presented by LNI veterans. Please feel free to stand as your service flag arrives. The U.S. Space Force was officially established December 20th, 2019. Its history is rooted in the military's increasing reliance on space-based assets and the growing recognition of space as a national security imperative and warfighting domain. The new service was built on the foundation of the Air Force Space Command, but it also integrated personnel and responsibilities from other branches to create a cohesive, space-focused military organization. Veterans Day honors those who have served in the military, both living and passed on. Now we will take a moment to honor those who are no longer with us. We'll stand and pause for a moment of silence. Then the Ira L. Cater Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 318 Color Guard will retire the colors. We'll remain standing to remember those who have passed and honor them with taps. Please rise.
Group attention. Port arms. Forward. Mark time. March. Right. Halt. Right face. Present arms.
In past years, we would present a musical selection from Spotswood Bowyer, an LNI employee who sadly passed away in August 2020, and who was a longtime supporter of this event. It's with this in mind that we offer the agency's own Tina Laposa, Training and Operations Manager for the LNI Employment Standards Program, with a musical selection. Many of you know Tina from her work on equity and inclusion and her singing performances during the December holiday season. Today, she will be singing Life Uncommon. Please welcome Tina.
Don't worry, mother. It'll be alright. Don't worry, sister. Say your prayers and sleep tight, and it'll be fine. Lover of mine, it'll be just fine. And lend our voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength to that which you wish to be free from. Fill your lives with love and bravery, and you shall lead a life uncommon. I've heard your anguish, I've heard your hearts cry out. We are tired, we are weary, but we aren't worn out. And set down your chains till only faith remains. Down your chains and lend our voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength to that which you wish to be free from. Fill your lives with love and bravery, and you shall lead life uncommon. There are plenty of people who pray for peace, but praying were enough, it would have come to be. And let your words enslave no one, and the heavens would hush themselves to hear our voices ring out clear in sounds of freedom. Sounds of freedom. Come on, you unbelievers, move out of the way. There is a new army coming, and we are armed with faith to live. We must give to live, and lend our voices only the sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength to that which you wish to be free from. Fill your lives with love and bravery, and you shall lead. And lend our voices only the sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength to that which you wish to be free from. Fill your lives with love and bravery, and you shall lead. Thank you, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Tina. That was beautiful. The success of this event requires a lot of people working together, and we would like to especially thank L&I Director Joel Sachs, Deputy Director Liz Smith, the Veterans Day Ceremony Executive Sponsor, Army Major Kevin DeLeon, retired, and the event committee for this Veterans Day ceremony, whose names can be found in your program. Steve J. Gill, Tribal Liaison for the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs, the Ira L. Cater Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 318 Color Guard, our National Anthem Trio, Stephanie Smith, Tanya Hornback, and Melissa Dyer, the L&I staff who served as flag bearers for the military services, whose names can also be found in your program, our ASL translators, Corey Jones and Michael Kasanovich, and of course, our keynote speaker, Command Sergeant Major David Morley. Regarding the Vietnam Veterans pins Liz mentioned, we indeed have some available. If you are an L&I employee and a veteran or family member who served in the U.S. Armed Services anytime between November 1st, 1955 and May 15th, 1975, regardless of service location, and have not received a pin, please contact the email you see on your screen. For those of us with us in the auditorium today, after our program, you're welcome to come up and see the uniform display behind me. We also have our Wall of Honor in the rotunda for your viewing. Veteran support groups we're honoring here today. The Veterans Placement Program at L&I. This program encourages veterans to contact the agency. And for those outside of L&I, the email address on screen now is vppinfo@lni.wa.gov. The Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs, providing assistance to veterans facing homelessness, post-traumatic stress disorder, cancer, and other service-related medical conditions. Today, we also continue our annual coin challenge, now in its 9th year. Last year, we raised nearly $650 as part of the State Employee Combined Fund Drive. The coin challenge benefits Fisher House at JBLM and Hire Heroes USA. Fisher House builds comfort homes for families of service members while a loved one is in the hospital. Hire Heroes USA, helping U.S. servicemen and women and their spouses achieve success here at home through rewarding career paths. We also encourage you to take a peek at the Kitty Hawk Division table in the back of the auditorium today. And here's how you can take part. L&I community members in Tumwater may drop off in-person donations at a box in our auditorium or on the second floor employee break room. For teleworking staff, you can contribute through the Combined Fund Drive link on Inside L&I and then follow the directions under Donations. Once you've donated, enter your amount in the charity tracker. Members of the community seeing this broadcast, we also invite you to visit any of the groups mentioned today and offer your support. Thank you for being with us today for our L&I Veterans Day celebration. I'm Courtney Stanley, and remember to please thank a veteran. Thank you.